Corruption is the abuse of entrusted power for personal benefit. Corruption deprives society for the resources needed to solve the real problems of the people around the world. In the different countries, different problems. So the cost of corruption is not only money. The cost of corruption is freedoms, the quality of democracy. Corruption has to do with greed, has to do with discretionality, has to do with some kind of imitation. Everybody does the same. Why wouldn't I? Or in this company, everybody is bribing our competitors. Why wouldn't I? What is important is that you can always say no. I always say that at the end of the chain of decisions, there is the possibility to be one person saying no. Create the secure line for denouncing cases of corruption within their own company, or having an ombudsperson where you can go and say, I have been seen or I have heard this is a case of corruption, this is against our code of conduct or ethics codes in the company. You have to have these kind of institutions to protect those that want to say no, or to protect those that are witnessing something which is not proper. Many people say corruption is like running a marathon, and that's a mistaken image, because when you run a marathon, everybody goes in the same direction and nobody is throwing stones at those runners. But corruption is not that. Corruption is much more similar to a strategic game like chess, for instance. You are not alone on the board. The other pieces move too. One important thing is to convince from the board down and to have the commitment of everybody in a company, the commitment to integrity, because integrity is good for business. It's a business case, so you will do better business when you behave with integrity in your operation.
I think one of them has to be preservation of existing resources. So planning for the use of a park in a way that activates areas that are safe to activate and preserves areas that should be preserved. And then over time, questioning those boundaries and possibly expanding the natural areas. Butterflies serve as pollinators for the native plants. They serve as food for birds and other animals. So it's just part of stitching back together the whole web of life here in the park. I think one of the key things is to know that it's not just one climate future we're facing of higher sea levels or warmer temperatures. It's a future in which many different things are possible, and then we don't know yet which of those things will happen or whether they'll all happen over a series of times. So we're facing a great degree of unpredictability in the coming decades. And so I think it's important as we do our planning to be prepared for each and any of those scenarios to play out. At the Presidio Trust, we are fully self-sufficient. We receive no standard allocation from the government each year, and we earn the income through rents from our properties, as well as events that we permit and parking fees that we collect. And that money goes in to support our restoration and preservation efforts and ongoing park development.
So this is a real great news because we have seen a decrease of 0.9% versus a general increase of emission elsewhere. So there are 5 sectors in particular where we have seen an improvement. Top of the gum is the aluminum with 14% reduction, and this is mainly due to electrification with clean power of their system. And then we have cement, chemical as well, with good improvement, as well as trucking and aviation in the transport sector. To further improve the transition of these sectors, by 2050 it is estimated that we need an additional 30 trillion of investment. That's a lot of money. There are some data that are provided by Accenture that are saying that 5 to 7% of that can be reduced through the use of artificial intelligence. So it's a lot of money, but there is scope for improvement and reduction of that money that needs to be invested.
Think of the extreme heat and storms that we're seeing all over the news. It's become impossible to ignore the fact that businesses need to adapt to climate hazards. The science is clear. Risks are mounting, but the timing and magnitude of those changes are difficult for us to get our heads around. This is because of the complexity and interconnectedness of our systems, which are heading towards tipping points. Once we reach these tipping points and they're triggered, there's no going back. Businesses might be focusing on net zero, but they also need to adapt and protect themselves from the environmental challenges that are coming. But it's not all bad news. Businesses that act swiftly will be able to reduce their costs, secure their supply chains, and succeed in future.